Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko, Professor of Economics, Department of Finance and Economics at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 12, Unemployment. This video is about the Phillips scale. Let's begin the lecture with the definition of the Phillips scale. In 1958, A. W. H. Phillips published a famous study documenting a negative correlation between unemployment and inflation in the United Kingdom from 1861 to 1957. The negative relationship between these two variables is known as the Phillips curve. Therefore, a downward sloping Phillips curve can only exist in the short run. In the long run, there is no trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Figure 1 illustrated the Phillips curve. The Phillips curve describes the negative correlation between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate. As we can see on the graph, so if the government tried to reduce the unemployment rate from 7 to 5%, the inflation would increase from 3 to 4%. So this negative relationship between this unemployment rate and the inflation rate is known as the Phillips curve. Therefore, the Phillips curve implies that the economy faces a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Figure 2 display inflation and unemployment in the United States from 1961 to 2005. So the experience of the U.S. economy during the 1960s seems to confirm the belief that there was a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So we can see that the data pointed between 1961 and 1969 suggested that the United States was moving up a stable, Phillips curve. So from the graph we see 1960. So 1961, 62, 60, 63, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, and 69. So there was a negative relationship or negative correlation between unemployment and inflation. As unemployment is going down, inflation will going up. So, but in the 70s, the confidence of policy makers and the inflation unemployment trade-off was suffered during the 1970s. The data pointed simply refused to cooperate and lie ahead of a stable, Phillips curve. So in the 70s, so 1970, the unemployment was this much about 5.9% inflation for 4.9% in unemployment, but so it went 71 is right here, then so and 73 came down, then 72, excuse me, and then 73 right here, and then 74 went up, 75 right there, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. So it's kind of that the data does not justify a stable Phillips curve in the 70s. So instead the relationship between inflation and unemployment in the 70s went out of filter. So however, if you go in this, so if you pick a period between 76 and 79, this justify a little bit the Phillips curve, 76, 78, and 76, 77, 78, and 79 justify a little bit, so the Phillips curve, the negative relationship between unemployment and inflation. Also, and then we can also, trace out, the same thing from 1980 to 83. So, so 19, so 1980 to 83, so 80, 81, and 82 and 83. We can also justify a little bit the Phillips curve there, and also from 2000 to 2002. So to 2000, so you have 2000, 2001, and 2002. So this also show a negative relationship or correlation between unemployment and inflation. Figure 3 illustrated the short run and long run Phillips curve. So let's initially start with the economy beginning at point A, where there is no inflation equal to 0, and unemployment rate equal to 5%. And if the inflation increases from from 0 to 7%, so the economy, so that many job seekers will find that they meet their reservation wages. So, and the unemployment rate will fall from 5% to 3%. However, so over time, workers realize that with higher inflation, 7%, so the real wage is down. So then they will adjust their reservation wage upward, and then the economy will move from B to C, so which is the long run path of the Phillips curve. Therefore, there is no trade-off between unemployment and inflation in the long run, because the long run Phillips curve is vertical. So from figure 3, we've seen that the economy is initially at point A, and on the previous graph, there is no inflation and 5% unemployment rate. So if monetary policy increases, the inflation rate from to 7%, searcher will certainly find many jobs that meet their reservation wage, and then the unemployment rate falls in the short run, moving the economy to point B. Again, from figure 3, over time, workers realize that the inflation rate is higher and will adjust the reservation wage upward and return the economy to point C. Therefore, in the long run, the unemployment rate is still 5%, but now there is a higher inflation rate. In the long run, so therefore there is no trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Now let's talk about the natural rate of unemployment, NRU. So what is the natural rate of unemployment? The NRU is the average unemployment over time. Say example 10 years, for instance. The upward drift in the unemployment rate between 1960 and 1990 suggested that the NRU could change over time. for instance, the NRU, the natural rate of unemployment was 4% in the 60s, but the NRU was believed to be 6 or 7% in the 1980s. So in the 1990s, however, unemployment rate fell to level that were previously impossible without a higher inflation rate. By 2000, the annual rate of unemployment was 3.4% and the unemployment rate was 4%. The NRU is partly determined by transition probabilities measuring the rate of job loss among workers, the rate of job finding among unemployed, and the flow between the market and non-market sector. So also the demographic shift influence so the NRU. For instance, the baby boom cohort that entered the labor market between 1960s and 1980s probably increases the NRU. Younger workers, for instance, are much more likely to be in between jobs as they locate and try out alternative job opportunity. This figure illustrated the natural rate of unemployment in the US from 1960 to 2018. We can see that so the green line here is the actual unemployment rate. That's what you have there. It was very high, almost over 10%, over 12% in 1982 because of the recession in 1982. Also, the Great Recession 2007-2008 also it was about 10%. So the solid black line, that's the long run trend of unemployment rate, and then the blue line, the dark blue line, that's the estimate of the natural rate of unemployment. We can see that the black line and the blue line move together from 1960 all the way up to 1980s. So they went up. So the natural rate of unemployment, the natural rate of unemployment went up, perhaps due to the demographic shift with the baby boomer cohort entering the labor market. But after the 80s, so the natural rate of unemployment, fell, and with the technological innovation. So more and more job in the 90s and 2000, more and more job was available. So the natural rate of unemployment fell, and the natural rate of unemployment was about the estimate was about below 4%. This graph illustrated the natural rate of unemployment in the US from 1950s all the way up to 2022, and with the forecast goes all the way up to 2035. We can see the finding of this graph confirm the one from the previous graph that the natural rate of unemployment in the US roses from 1950 all the way up to 1980. So we can see from 5.2% to 6.2%. Then after 1980, the natural rate of unemployment decreases all the way up to 2007. So which was 2007-2008, which was so the Great Recession, the period of the financial crisis in the US, the housing bubble. So we can see that after the from 2007 to all the way 2012, unemployment went up from 5% to all the way up to 5.8%. So, and then after that, it kind of fell with the forecast, it's falling. It's supposed to fall all the way up to 4.2% until 2035. So again, the shady area are period of recession. We say that beside the demographic shift in the population, also the structural economic changes influence the natural rate of unemployment. So in the 1980s and 1990s, witnesses a substantial deterioration in the labor market, such of less skilled workers, along with the rapid decline in the manufacturing sector. So that explains the increase in the natural rate of unemployment from the 80s to the 90s. The evidence also suggests that the increase in the NRU throughout the 1980s can be also attributed to the worsening economic situation of less skilled workers. This is the end of the video about the Phillips curve. Thank you.